one of the things that I really like about Eurorack is once you're done and you've recorded that in, you're pulling out the cables and
it's gone.
How's that a good thing? How can somebody explain to me how that's a good thing? I mean, you could do the same thing with digital too. I'm not even trying to be this guy here.
And this is also happening if you really have the courage to play live with such a system.
Is this supposed to sell me on a Eurorack right here? Because it doesn't sound great. It doesn't sound terrible either, but it doesn't sound great. I'm just gonna get straight into it. All right, so we got AP mastering once again. The masterful troll, he's back. Okay, so he did a video. Is Eurorack hardware actually better than software? Clear winner. This might be like the coldest take he's ever had. Okay, let's see.
anytime people talk about analog hardware, whether that's the pro audio gear like EQs and compressors, or whether that's the synth stuff like the Eurorack format, people always ask the question, is the hardware really worth it?
Is this AI?
Is the hardware better than the computer-based emulations? Well, I've come here to Berlin, Germany, to one of the most famous and important Eurorack shops in the world, Schneider's Laden, and we're going to answer that question.
Spoiler alert, guys, you don't need to do that to answer this question. I think you can answer this question from your own home. Modular is a waste of money. It takes a lot of time to do a basic sound. There's not a lot of control with it. It's just, it's really just riding a bike, but with, I don't know, you're missing like the fucking wheels or something. I don't know. Like you're trying to do things in a much harder way. There's no real winning to using modular unless you just want to burn your money. Oh, I'm not saying it's not fun. I'm not saying it's not fun. Sure, it's fun. I'm sure it's fun.
Who better to ask about Schneider's Laden than the owner of Schneider's Laden himself?
Uncomfortable stare at the camera there.
Andreas Schneider, welcome.
Thank you. When I met this scenery first, I was fascinated by those who arrived for a gig.
It's appropriate that he looks like a scientist because, you know, if you're making music with a modular rack, you're more of a scientist than a musician, in my opinion. Bro, this is like 800K in gear right here to make like the worst, to make a saw wave, basically.
Bringing a sports bag with plenty of stuff and loose cables and a mixer, and then they needed 2 hours to set it all together. But
this is some crazy editing. Who did this?
It was
Why did they do this?
It was different. But they were so experienced with playing live that they...
Yeah, Aaron Cairo's making beats now.
It was an individual performance every day.
Yeah.
And this is also happening if you really have the courage to play live with such a system.
Is this supposed to sell me on a Eurorack right here? Because it doesn't sound great. It doesn't sound terrible either, but it doesn't sound great either.
If you know the system, you start from the scratch and it's great because you know it and you know which module is good for what, and then sure you have...
Guys, there's a modular system. Does that get the hose or does that scare the hose? Let me know. Let me know your answers in the chat.
Sound, and you are doing your sound, and it's the same like with a band.
Because this music seems like it would scare the hose. You're scaring the hose away right now.
You know, they have a complex...
I will say this. There is not a woman in sight in this video.
...setup, and they set it up every day, and then they start again to open the doors again for expressing live what happens today. It's very important also for the human being itself. You know, we meet up, we talk to each other, and then we go on a stage, and then we perform for each other, and either we dance or we cry.
What the hell, bro? Is he even doing a video to do? It seems like it's other guys doing the video for him.
Today is very important also for the human being itself. You know, we meet up, we talk to each other, and then...
Bro, this editing, fantabulous.
We go on a stage, and then we perform for each other, and either we dance or we cry. Or we get political, or we get emotional.
It's the happiest I've ever seen AP mastering in my whole life. One happy man. It's a happy man if I've ever seen a happy man there.
Political, or we get emotional, but this is the thing that makes us.
This is not selling me on modular systems at all.
I could also say big jacks are sounding better than small jacks. And you know,
yeah, you need to get in a big jack. That's for sure.
Thin cable is the high feed people. I definitely know that this is both not true, but I see that it feels better to have big jacks. I see that it feels better to have a real drum set in front of you instead of having finger drumming or having just programming something, you know?
Okay, I get what he's saying.
If you want to...
Yeah, the music is very fucking loud and also not appropriate. This is not the appropriate music for this.
express yourself, you also move with your whole body.
You know Schneider, Weaver? No, I don't know Schneider.
We compress it to size.
Knob twisting was doing nothing to the sound, bizarre editing. Yeah, this is like, this song was edited in afterwards. If that's the case, they chose the wrong song.
Of a case, and this is what made the success of this Eurorack system.
When I'm making music, having cables that you plug in and pull out, it really just inspires me to make something new.
That inspires me a lot too. Yeah, pulling and plugging cables, that inspires the shit out of me.
Go in a direction, also be surprised by the hardware, and then led a bit by the hardware, but know how to leave the hardware to get to the result that you want. When you just sit there with the computer and click buttons and go through anything.
Bro, this is some trippy editing because he's in black and white, and then the modular system is not in black and white. But somebody went in here and masked him and then made him black and white.
Lists of presets, and it's just a completely different experience, which seems completely unrelated to the workflow that I enjoy when I'm using Eurorack hardware or any hardware.
Wait, whose jacket's inside out?
That massive. And so, yeah, I think that's a really important aspect of the aesthetic.
I need my sensors free to feel the people in front of me. So I cannot watch my computer mouse finding the right position. That was the first knowledge that led me into hardware.
When people talk about the
Hey, thank you THC King, appreciate the super chat.
sound quality, does it sound better? Is it better?
Dude kind of looks like you. Which one? The mad scientist?
I just think it's maybe a slightly weird question to ask because it's comparing only one aspect, which is of course important how it sounds. If it sounded like crap, then it wouldn't be good to use it. But it's such a small aspect of what hardware offers in the experience of making music.
Okay, never mind. It's cooking now. This is not scaring the hose anymore. Make sure to hit the like button. Subscribe if you have not. If you're not subscribed, what are you doing with your goddamn life? If you want to take that support a bit further, though, channel membership's another great way to support. All support is appreciated. Clarify, the hoes are kicking my ass for playing this song. It's bringing them together to kick my ass.
If you want to become creative, it's definitely better to have hardware. You know, if I want to be a creative person...
I think everyone has their own methods. I think it could go either way, depending on the person.
My emotions free to recognize what's going on around me. What's going on in the room, in the atmosphere, in the society, in the world.
But, okay, first of all, it doesn't have infiltrator. Second of all, it doesn't have infiltrator, okay?
I need to understand it. And if I want to perform something at the same time, I need a button here and a key there and a pad there. And I need...
Okay, never mind. It's cooking now.
Monofunctional tools around me that I can rely on.
That thing do be farting.
Having an Electron drum machine with plenty of beats and presets and 7 buttons with 140 functions combining. I think
sounds a bit like an infiltrator preset. Don't you dare say that, okay? Take that back. You take that back right now. A bad one? There are some bad ones. I do agree.
It's not it, you know, because
this guy first shirt said, "I was only obeying orders once in his life before." Hey, maybe you might be right.
You have to always look down to it. Where am I? You have to learn the menu. I'm even a bit harder. I say if I have to read a manual to understand the tool is shit.
This guy doesn't read the manual. It's a little bit of a confession there.
You know, you look into your computer and you don't see nothing else. You know. You can also talk about the cell phone.
Yeah, that is kind of a dumb take.
Victims, if we're all sitting.
Like, you don't think somebody had to read a fucking manual at some point in order to understand modular? Probably the only reason he didn't have to read a manual on this is because somebody else had read the manual, you know, and then they explained it to someone else, and then that person explained it to someone else. Like, you don't think somebody had read a manual at some point in order to understand modular shit?
In the street without cell phones and not
cell phone victims, bro. What about modular victims?
And not seeing the world.
Not seeing the world around us, yeah.
I think we have.
Yeah, it's so much better for people to be glued to their modular systems instead of glued to their cell phones. I mean, honestly, if you're glued to your modular system, you're not gonna have time to be glued to your cell phone.
To take care that we're not ending up in our computers and cell phones.
Yeah.
So we have to
Yeah, so instead we're gonna end up delving into modular all day, every day.
fight hard.
Yeah.
To understand what's going on beneath it, around it.
But one of the things that I really like about Eurorack is once you're done and you've recorded that in, you're pulling out the cables and
It's gone.
How's that a good thing? How can somebody explain to me how that's a good thing? I mean, you could do the same thing with digital too. I'm not even trying to be this guy here, but you can do the same thing with digital. It's like, hey, I have this patch open. I hit initialize preset. It's gone. Like, it just feels like a cope. The whole thing is just like a cope. Like, you know, I spent all this money on a Eurorack.
anytime people talk
And I gotta convince myself, basically, that I did not waste my money. No preset is cool. I guess I could see that. Like, there's no presets. That's also kind of a bad thing, too, though, right? Like, what if you're trying to make a specific sound, and you could get to it much quicker with the preset? Whereas with this, you're gonna, you know, spend however much time it takes to make it with this. It's not that complicated. What is not that complicated? This is not that complicated? I mean, it's got 100 fucking ports on it, just in plain view on this one screen right here. I mean, to say it's not complicated, that's just a lie. That's just a lie.